What are the biggest summer mistakes homeowners don't know that they are making? In today's video, we're going to cover some of those mistakes, but I do want to say thank you to the sponsor of today's show, Daikin. We'll get to them later in this video, but let's dive into this. The 5 biggest mistakes. Number 1 being airflow. I don't think enough homeowners take into account airflow and how well that system's being able to breathe. The analogy I use all the time is just imagine covering your mouth and living the rest of your life trying to breathe through half of the amount of your space that you're supposed to be able to breathe through. And ductwork's the same way, making sure those vents are clear, make sure you're not closing a bunch of the vents, making sure they're not blocked by furniture, making sure your air filter is clean can all play a big role on how well that system operates, fewer breakdowns, and how comfortable you are. But I also want to go one step further than that and talk about the airflow of your outdoor unit. I don't think that's talked about enough, and I would challenge you, if you're watching this video, to take a moment and take a glance at your outdoor air conditioning or heat pump system. Make sure it is good and clear, that the bushes haven't grown up, it's not blocking airflow. Maybe there might be another hindrance, maybe where the kids have put their bikes up against it. Maybe the coil itself needs to be cleaned really well. It's kind of dirty and restricting airflow in that way. But just taking a moment and making sure your outdoor unit can breathe can also play a big role on how well it can operate, and again, whether or not it breaks down. Number 2 is help your AC help you. And what I mean by that is do things that can help that air conditioner do its thing and not have to work as hard. Things like closing your blinds, closing the drapes, making sure the sunlight's not coming in quite so bad during that peak time of the day, making that home like a greenhouse effect, making your air conditioner run overtime. Other things you can do is running ceiling fans, trying to move some air in there so your air conditioner doesn't have to work so hard. And then things like don't run appliances such as your clothes dryer during the day. Run that at night when your system's not working as hard. Appliances creating heat, making your air conditioner work even harder. Help your system by not adding more load to it, making it have to run more air conditioning to cool your home. And then finally, the big one, as we all know, is just making sure you don't have any gaps in your home. Weather stripping at your hardware store and filling in certain gaps as you go around to the windows and doors and seals in your home can play a big role in how well your air conditioning is able to operate. And before I get to number 3, thank you to Daikin for sponsoring this video. They're doing some really cool things. Let's check it out.
Day after day, I'm feeling the same. But today, I'm feeling a change. It's blowing this way like a new hurricane. And it's blowing, I'm feeling a change. Can't stop it now. You can't stop it now. It's season to change. Here come the new. You can't stop it now.
Number 3, ignoring humidity. Humidity plays a big role in your comfort, how well that system can operate. The higher the humidity, the warmer it feels in the room. My old boss used to say, 72 degrees in your house doesn't feel like 72 degrees in my house. And what he was basically saying is if your humidity is too high, even though your temperature may be comfortable, typically you won't feel cool enough because of that high humidity. But humidity plays a big role in other things, such as the air quality that you're breathing. It also plays a big role in extreme cases where the humidity is high enough for microbial growth, mold, mildew, and all these crazy things that can happen in your home. Simply ignoring humidity might not just be an uncomfortable situation, but it can lead to bigger problems. Ignoring your thermostat settings. I have said this before. I think homeowners don't do this enough. They need to go through their manual for their thermostat. They need to learn what those settings are. Take some time to personally know if things are set up correctly, if things are dialed in properly. Some of those settings that could play a big role in how comfortable you are, things like extended fan run time, whether or not the schedule is set up optimally, overcooling to dehumidify, and an array of other settings in that thermostat I think homeowners should take the time to learn can play a big role in not just the air conditioning, how well it operates, but also maybe save you some money on your utility bills. Number 5 is Bandaid Repairs. And this was a big one when I had my heating and air business. Sometimes I would take a moment to have a conversation with my customer to explain to them some of these Bandaid repairs can play a big role on future costs as well. And what do I mean by that? If you've got a failed capacitor, for example, that capacitor has gone bad, and now you're just going to simply swap that capacitor. Of course, that will fix it. You'll get air conditioning back and you'll be off and running for the short term, right? But when things happen like that, especially if it's happened more than once, there may be an underlying reason why that part failed. And sometimes understanding why it's happening, understanding that poor airflow, for example, with the ductwork, high static pressures, refrigerant levels, maintenance, all these different things that can play a big role in that system could play a big role on why that part failed. You may want to look at upgrading some things. Perhaps an accessory or two, such as surge protection, could go a long way on fixing whatever that part failed instead of just putting that Band-Aid repair on there. And then finally, I already alluded to it. I talk about it in so many of my videos if you've seen any of them before, and I'll just touch on this real quick. And that is maintenance. I don't think it's done enough. I don't think homeowners think about it enough. And most folks think that I'm just trying to sell them something. Although I sold my heating and air company over a year ago. I think it's that big of an issue. I think if you are now in the summertime, would do yourself a big favor if you are at least doing some of the things that you can do. Now, I'm not one of those DIY guys that put homeowners in danger, but I do think that if you would take the moment and look at some of the things we've already covered in this video, whether or not the system is clean, whether or not it's operating at the best of its abilities, doing other things like making sure the drain is clear. Any homeowner, you don't need to be a pro to throw a shop vac on the drain where it comes out of your home, making sure that drain is clear. Now, that's not to say you won't ever have a drain backup. There's other parts in there such as P-traps and easy traps and all these other components that a lot of heating and air guys might add to that drain. But you will do yourself a favor by just simply taking an extra minute or two and throwing a shop vac on the end of that drain. You may actually save yourself an expensive repair bill because that drain backed up. Overall maintenance of that system, making sure everything's on the up and up, making sure things are clean, making sure the air filters replaced, all those things can go a long way on your air conditioning. Let me know your thoughts. I love reading your comments. I get to as many of them as I can, and sometimes your comments might play a big role on the content that we make in the future. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one even more. It's where I talk about some of the biggest energy wasters that homeowners don't know. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.